This has been, all at the same time, simultaneously, the most ancient, the easiest, and the most difficult recipe I've ever attempted. Hi everyone, it's Tasha and welcome to another recipe video. And today we're going to be learning about Hakka Moonlight Biscuits, aka the original mooncake. And I say we're going to be learning about them because while we are technically going to be making them, we're not going to be making them very well. More on that later. Here's what I mean by the original mooncake. When you hear the word mooncake, you likely think of those sweet pastries with a golden brown colour, and they're stuffed with a sweet nut or bean paste, and in the middle is a little salted egg yolk, and on the top a really elaborate pattern has been stamped on it, and they're quite thick. And while they are a very, very ancient Chinese sweet treat, they are actually a more modern type of mooncake. Before China started getting visited by various countries, whether friendly or not, Japan, England, etc, etc, they would have used more rice flour to make sweet things, not so much wheat flour. So the original mooncakes would have just been made out of rice flour and some sugar. And in some cases you add some nuts and seeds and other things to it too. And more importantly than being a sweet snack, they would actually be used as an offering to the moon during the Mid-Autumn Festival. And then you could eat them. Got to feed the gods first. And these types of mooncakes were actually quite hard. They were meant to last a while. And they were called, and still are called, Yue Guangbing, which literally means moonlight biscuit. Nowadays they're not quite so common. They're mostly made by the Hakka Chinese community, so they're also known as Hakka mooncakes or Hakka moon biscuits, Hakka moonlight biscuits, etc. Of which I should probably know more about because I am half Hakka Malaysian Chinese. I never learned the dialect, alas, just Mandarin. And I was trying to find out the history of Yue Guangbing. I even typed in Yue Guangbing Lishi, which kind of means moonlight biscuit history, in Google. And I couldn't find much. They are pretty ancient and they do predate flour pastry mooncakes. But I did manage to find out about the ceremonial nature of these treats. And the fact that the youths of today don't really like them because apparently they are really coarse and dry and not that sweet. They are, however, meant to look beautiful. Many people paint them when they're done with edible food colouring. So as well as the lovely intricate patterns from the moulds, they would also have lots of colours painted on them as well. Because again, these are meant to be auspicious ceremonial sweets, they're not just your everyday snack. Now alas, they have become so rare, definitely especially in the West, that I've never tasted one before, not even when I'm visiting family east. My husband from Sichuan province in China has never even heard of them, but after I read about them I was determined to at least try to make them. There was only one problem with that. Every single person that I've seen making them online has a different method of making them. Some fry their own rice flour before using it in the dough, some use pre-fried rice flour, which is called cold fun flour, some use oil, some don't use oil at all, some use butter, some use shortening, some add extra sugar and just water, some make a sugar syrup, or some use extra sugar with the sugar syrup. Some steam them, some dry them, some steam them, then dry them, some dry them, then steam them. I'm getting all mixed up because I'm not kidding you, there are so many different ways. And all of them seem to have completely different quantities, which as a baker at heart boggles my mind because baking is chemistry, you need precise grams to be able to make things successfully. But the trouble is rice flour, especially cold fun flour, how much liquid it absorbs depends on how humid your atmosphere is at the time. So literally today you could be having high humidity in the air, so you'll need less liquid. But if you decide to make them instead tomorrow, and tomorrow is a much drier day, you're going to need more liquid. So it's not actually possible to exactly measure the amount of liquid you need. Also, I had a second problem. I hate using cold fun flour. I have used it in the past to make snowskin mooncake recipes. I'll pop a link to one of them up above. But honestly, I prefer using raw rice flour to make handmade cooked snowskin dough. It's so much smoother. When you use cold fun, it becomes really rough. It tastes lovely, but it's difficult to work with, or at least I think so. So I knew this was going to be a problem. But I thought as long as I watch as many videos as possible, I even went on Douyin, the Chinese version of TikTok, and YouTube, and some random Vimeo videos I found. Again, everyone had a different way of doing it. Whoever used cold fun flour made it look so easy. It wasn't easy. I've tried 9 times now to make Yue Guangbing, and I have more or less failed every single time. However, my last attempt I did actually manage to get a fine rice dough in order to make it. Because to make this you have to combine the rice flour, in my case the cooked rice flour, with just enough liquid for it to want to come together when you squeeze it, but not so much that it forms actual lumps. And the problem with cold fun flour is as soon as it hits any liquid, it seizes up and it just traps the liquid and you automatically have a lump. When I was watching everyone using it online, they had none of these problems at all, so I don't know whether it's the brand I'm using. We can only get one brand in the UK. It's in an orange bag, I can't remember the name of it. So maybe I do in fact need to cook my own rice flour at home to be able to make this. So I'm not going to call this a recipe video today because I didn't make a successful, reliable recipe video. What we are going to do though is see how I managed to make 3 or 4 goodish ones and a few fail ones, and one day, I promise you, I will perfect this recipe. It won't be today, but we are going to see at least what a good one, when you manage to make a good one, tastes like. Because I did manage to make 2 or 3 good ones. So if you haven't clicked off of this video yet, 1, thank you, and secondly, let's go to the kitchen and see how it's kind of done. We're going to start by making a super simple sugar syrup. Here I have 100 grams of caster sugar, this is just plain old white sugar. And now I'm going to add 100 milliliters of water. This is hot water fresh off the boil, just to get things started a bit. I'm going to give it a little bit of a stir. Now I'm going to bring it to the boil. Now as soon as it comes to a rolling boil like this, we're going to boil it for 3 minutes, so start the timer now. Once our 3 minutes is up, we're going to switch the heat off and take this off the heat. Now we're going to let our syrup cool down completely before we use it. Now to make our Moonlight biscuit dough, we've got 50 grams of cold fun flour. This is fried glutinous rice flour, so technically it's already been cooked, but it is dry. And now I've got my syrup that we've made in here, but we're not going to measure it, we're going to slowly, gradually pour in and mix with our hands. And I find this is the only way I can do it. I've tried measuring it, being precise, weighing the syrup, never works, ends up as a clumpy mess. So I'm just going to gradually add it. We should only need about 20 to 30 milliliters, but like I said, whenever I measure it precisely, it all goes to pot. So we want to gradually mix it in, almost treating it like a dough, so we're rubbing it in between our hands to make breadcrumbs. So we've just started with, that was probably just 5 milliliters there. And we're going to gently rub it. Don't be too harsh because this is very light flour, it will start going everywhere. So just gently rub it between your fingers to incorporate it. And yeah, this is necessary. Every time I try to do it with a spoon, it also went to pot, it went really lumpy, and I couldn't do anything with the mixture. Even sieving it, I even put it through a food processor, did not break it down at all. So let's be patient and let's carry on doing it breadcrumb style. And what we want is a really rough, dry but slightly sticky dough that looks like breadcrumbs, so let's keep going. This is just about done. Now here is when, unfortunately, we're going to have to lose some. I have my sift here, which you can see I've already used quite a few times. And we need to get the finest possible powder out of this. We can't just press this, otherwise our moon biscuits will be lumpy. So I'm afraid we've got to slowly pass this through the sift. And there are going to be some lumps left, and no, we cannot use the lumps. I've tried everything. I've tried blending them, food processing them, crumbling them with a little bit more cold fun flour. Nothing works. And that's basically that. None of that is going to go through. I do not know why. This is a lot better than the last few times that I've made this recipe. But you know, win some, lose some. Anyway, I'm going to now focus on this. I'm not going to use that again. And here are some that I've made earlier. So yeah, I've got 3 sad little biscuits. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to half fill this with our lovely light sifted powder, our hydrated powder. I'm going to use my thumb to press it down. Now I'm going to take a piece of baking parchment which I've cut into a small square. Let's bring this back over. carefully invert it onto our, what is this called? A chopping board. And I'm going to plunge down very firmly and squeeze it down. Gently release it. Now I'm going to pop it out. And that was a fail. That one was a bit better. Now I'm actually going to show you what it looks like if we press this rough stuff in. Still not great. It's yeah, kind of ugly. But you know what? These will do. Right, I give up. Let's steam these. Now that we've got the steamer going, we are going to steam these. Oh, it's so pathetic. I have so few. We're going to steam them just for 10 minutes. So let's steam them for 10 minutes. Future Tash here, the very last bit where I took them out of the steamer when they were done and painted a bit with red food colouring. Didn't record, which, you know, is the icing on the cake to an already chaotic recipe video, but that's all I did. I just mixed a little red food colouring with a little water and painted it on a bit of the top of the cakes. Well, there we are. I'm not quite sure what else to say about them. At least we had some. Right, let's tear into, you know what, let's tear into this sad soul here. Well, this is my most perfect one. It is very beautiful, snowy white, just as a yuegong, being a moonlight biscuit, should be. It also feels very dry. Steaming didn't really add moisture to it. Steaming just made it stick a bit more firmly together so it won't crumble. I did see with some recipes though, once they stamped it out, they didn't steam it, they just let it dry. For up to 2 days some of them said 1 to 2 hours, some said 2 days. Remember, this is a ceremonial offering first and a snack after. Even though it's maybe only been an hour since I've been faffing around with stuff, it's already quite dry. You saw how dry that one that I snapped open for the slowmo was. Well, after all of that sweat and tears, let's take a bite and see what it actually tastes like and feels like. Cheers! It's very dry, which is exactly as it's meant to be. It's dry and a little bit grainy. I find the sweetness level very pleasant though. It's not too sweet, which is just how I like this sort of treat. I've seen other people like their sweeter, they add extra sugar on top of the sugar syrup, but that's totally optional. You know what, if I added extra sugar and made this like a proper almost candy type thing, it would be very nice with a cup of green tea. Having said that, I can see why modern Chinese people have over the years shunned this more and more in favour of the pastry ones, the ice cream ones, the snow skin ones. There's so much variety now, we're spoiled for choice these modern times. But in times where things like sugar was a very huge treat, I can see why people have gone mad over this. And it is just so beautiful too. Oh, that same car alarm's gone off again. It's going to last for hours, so we might as well carry on. Now I've got this one, which is a rough one. This is actually a little bit softer because, you know, the clumps that were made with the cold sunflower that I couldn't sift out, they retained all of that moisture, so actually barely softer, it's very tough, but it has some give to it. Let's take a bite of that. She's making me work for it. Incredibly chewy and still a bit dry. So even though we didn't make a reliable recipe this time, I hope you had fun learning about them. So there you go, Hakka Moonlight Biscuits. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video and I hope you'll join me next Wednesday for my next one, which will be a more successful recipe video. Get the write-up on my blog tashcakes.com, follow me on Instagram on tashcakes.taste, and find me on TikTok too. I'm tashcakes there too, but my handle is food in slow motion. Subscribe and hit the notification bell if you'd like to see more. Give this video a like if you'd like to help other people find it. Comment down below if you'd like me to make anything in particular, and I will see you all next time. Hair in my eye. Be good, be nice, and have a good week. Hi everyone, it's Tash.